Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
Hello and welcome to Breakup Recovery Podcast. I'm Barbara Stevens and I'm a breakup recovery mentor. And in this episode, I welcome Tanya Somerton. Now, Tanya is the founder and a divorce specialist working with her own company, Tanya Somerton Proprietary Limited. This idea was created when Tanya went through her own terrifying and complicated divorce. She decided to create the ultimate divorce experience and is now helping women survive their separations. With an army of angels working together, including a team of lawyers, financial advisors, counsellors, child psychologists, mortgage brokers, life coaches, stylists and much more, no stone is left unturned in getting her clients the best possible outcome and framing their future success. What a wonderful organisation of talented people you have at your disposal to help people through their divorces, Tanya.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. It's so lovely to be here with you today. Yes, I have an amazing group of women that I'm so proud to work with, not only my army of angels, but also our beautiful clients that we work with.
So let's start at the beginning. What did you learn from your divorce?
Well, it was interesting because I came from a corporate background where everything was very auditory. So, we had processes and KPIs and everything for our business that we ran. And when I was going through my divorce, because I was so used to working that way and it had been, embedded in me, I needed to find a way to get through my divorce in that same sort of manner. And I searched, went through Google, rang people, looked everywhere for somewhere where someone could tell me, if you want to get through divorce as quickly and easily as possible, this is the process that you need to follow. And I could not find anything anywhere. And when I started talking to, various lawyers and things like that, I just realised that what was happening was society just lived off this ill-prepared process that was divorce, so to speak. So what was happening is I thought myself that the lawyers were benefiting from the lack of information that was out there. And when I was going from my financial advisor and my accountant and everything, I just felt like I was continually repeating my dreaded story over and over again. And I'd had enough of that and just I didn't like that at all. I wanted to go to pretty much what I called a one-stop divorce shop where I could turn up, I could tell my story once, and I didn't need to repeat it again. And I knew that I would have people look after my best interests. And there was nothing like it out there. So I thought, well, I'll start it.
So that's why you started your business?
That's pretty much why, because after I then spoke to other women and I was telling them, how I just felt terrible that there was no such service, not even you can go to these government sites and places like that where they'll give you free of charge information, but they really don't cover off everything. And I just wanted to go through a sort of a tick sheet of go, right, I've done this, I've done that, I've covered that, I've looked at my wills, I've done my superannuation, I've done everything, because I have this thing up here on my board here that says, because divorce is so much more than just going to a lawyer. And it is. It's not just going to a lawyer and having a financial separation or a decree of divorce. It's a holistic journey that we need to go through, and no one thinks about all of that together.
I guess when you get your client, each of them have different needs, but their basic needs are pretty much the same. They're universal, aren't they?
I think the biggest issue with anyone going through a divorce is that ultimately what they want out of that divorce is security. And security being the biggest thing, how do we get that? It's either it's emotional or it's financial security, one or the other. But to get that security, you need to make sure that you've covered off on everything. And sometimes, you know, I can remember myself when I was going through it thinking, what have I forgotten? You know how there's sort of sometimes this dreaded feeling in your stomach thinking, I just feel like I've forgotten something, but what is it? But how do you know what you've forgotten when you don't know actually what you have to do?
So how does your business operate? How do you find your clients, and what are the benefits for your clients to use your service?
Well, ultimately, my clients at the moment find me by referral partners or word of mouth. So we get a lot of referrals from people such as wellness coaches and counsellors, and I am getting more and more referrals from financial advisors and accountants as well, because they also see the need to look after people's future security. And, you know, someone might be feeling terrible and they'll go to, say, a naturopath or something like that to try and make them feel better. And once they've sort of gone through that journey of looking after their health, then they realise, actually, the reason that I became so unhealthy is because I'm unhappy in my life. And then once they've fixed the physical things within their life, then they start to address other things that are going wrong. And ultimately, that's where I get a lot of referrals from. They're really great because we work together from a holistic approach. So they've worked on their physical and then I work on sort of the fundamental. And even when the clients come to me anyway, if they haven't actually been to a wellness coach and I think that they might need to address that, I will refer them on to a professional in that area also. So I like to also make sure that not only have we looked after how they get through the divorce, we've also looked after them emotionally and physically as well. That's really, really important to myself and my team, because if you think clearer and you feel better, you make better, you know, overall choices and decisions for your life. So, but ultimately, part two of that question was, you know, what are the benefits for coming to us? And I suppose, as I said, it's that I look at the process holistically. It's not just turn up, go to a lawyer, do what you think that you have to do then and forget about every other part of it. Because I know when I was going through my divorce, my GP said to me, oh, you need to go and have some counselling. And I said to her, well, no, I think I'm okay. It was my choice to leave my marriage. She said, no, I really would like you to go and have some counselling. So after a 22-year marriage, I went and had, you know, here in Australia, we're able to have 10 counselling sessions through a government-funded process. So I thought, oh, well, I've got nothing to lose, I'll go off. And I didn't realise actually how much I did need the counselling. I thought I was okay. I thought I was being strong because I'd made the decision to leave my marriage, but I didn't realise there was a whole lot of underlying things that I had to deal with. And not just that, by having the counselling, when I went into my next relationship, I didn't take any baggage with me. I'd addressed it all, and I realised then how important the counselling was and how a lot of us don't go and do it, and we should be doing it. It should be a priority.
So what you're saying is some of the benefits for your clients are that you look at their case on an individual basis, and then you bring together the people that you think that this person needs in order for them to get back on track with their life during the divorce process and also after.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes, you know, if you're going through a divorce, you just can't see or envisage what you need to do next. And it's so easy for someone such as myself that doesn't have an emotional attachment to what you're going through. Whilst I'm quite empathetic for all of my clients, I'm not like their girlfriend or their sister or their mother who has, you know, an emotional involvement. So what we find, and talking to our clients and even, you know, women that have been through it before, sometimes our friends and our family, with their best intentions, give us advice that can sometimes get us into trouble that, or, you know, cost us money that we really can't afford, and it really does not benefit us. Where because I'm sort of removed from the emotional side of it, I can sit there and give advice on why you should do this, why you shouldn't do that. And if you realise if you go down this path, for every action there's a reaction, and we find that quite a lot in divorce. people will go, right, I'm going to send this letter, and then before you know it, another letter is coming back, and these letters go back and forth. And in my book, I talk about this. I call it a divorce dance, because the lawyers love that. For every letter that someone sends, another letter will go back, where ultimately, what's the point? It could cost you $10,000 for those letters going back and forth to come to, no actual benefit. So I can give my clients that advice and say, if you're only chasing sort of a certain percentage, yet it's going to cost you $10,000 to get that, is it really worth it? So by giving them the advice, both good and bad, they can make a judgment call on the evidence rather than, what they think they might get out of it.
So I guess you're also going through some of the things that they're doing wrong that are going to cost them a lot of money. So they're not making the same mistakes maybe you made or you've seen other people make.
Oh, look, I've heard, and you probably have as well, Barbara, some of the most awful experiences that people have had. And it's so interesting, when I'm networking or I'm out and people ask what I do for a job and I explain to them, everyone's got a divorce story. Everyone's got a horror story that's either been their own or their, someone that they know. And I don't know how many times I've heard people tell me that their divorce costs them like $100,000. And, to me, that figure is just awful. We work so hard throughout our relationships, and when we meet someone, we meet them with these dreams and wishes of having this wonderful life together. And here in Australia, if we talk about the stats in Australia, the average marriage only lasts 12 years. And most men, their average age in 2015 of divorcing was 45, and a woman was, say, 42. And to think that, at that age, 45 and 42, we've lived together for quite a long time. We've had these dreams and aspirations of what our life might be like. And then all of a sudden we're prepared to spend $100,000, and that's only one party. So if, one party spent $100,000 and the other parties obviously would have spent sort of equivalent or more, that's $200,000 out of a family pool of assets that could be used on their future life. They're throwing that money away.
Exactly. That is an insane amount of money. So tell me a little bit more about your army of angels.
Yes. So what I have, and the process that we go through is they come to me, and what happens is I sit down with my clients and I take all of the information from them. That information is then sent through to the team of professionals that I think they need. So the interesting thing is I do work with Property Women Australia. So a lot of those women have investment properties, and it's been really key in some of our negotiations with those ladies is when we're talking about investment properties and assets, lawyers, while they're very good at the law, they don't know the financial parts of the ins and outs of what investment properties look like, or, whether it be superannuation funds or things like that. And if I talk about one client in particular, they had 6 houses together, and the husband, before the client came to me, the husband had negotiated with the client's previous lawyer that he was giving her 3 houses and he was having the rest of the houses. But unfortunately, the 3 houses that he was giving her were just, if you looked at the overall portfolio, were absolutely the garbage within the portfolio. One of them was in a mining town, and the mortgage was $200,000 more than what the property was worth. There was another house that just was never going to get any capital growth out of it. The returns on it weren't that good. And I said to her, do you realise the ramifications of you taking on these properties will mean that your serviceability or your future ability to borrow money is null and void because of how detrimental these will be to your future? Now, the lawyer had no idea about any of this information. So she then came and worked with us, and we were able to go, right, if you look at the overall portfolio, this is the ability of this property, this property, this property, this property, and it's our advice that you keep this one and this one. and, get rid of the rest. And this is why, as a couple, you don't want these two properties, for instance, because they're not going anywhere. And in today's environment with what's going on with APRA, it's not worth having those sorts of investments in your portfolio. So we got in a room. So there was, the accountant, financial advisor, myself, and the lawyer, and we worked out a strategy that was best for her and her outcome. And she says to me even today, we're still going through that divorce currently, but she said if she hadn't have met me, she's got no idea what would have happened to her, financially, because she wanted to retire in probably 5 to 10 years, and if she'd taken on these properties, her future would have been dim. So that's the beauty of what I do, is that I look at all of your assets holistically, and we look at what is best for you out of your whole, what the family has as a structure, and we try and get you the best possible outcome. And in some cases, even superannuation, some superannuation funds, depending on what the clients are in, are earning more than some properties. So with our financial advisors, they'll say, actually, you know what, you're better off to keep your super than you are to keep your investment property or your house, because this is just doing wonderful returns and you'll get far better out of this. And we look at, their long-term strategy. So we look at where they want to go to, when they want to retire, what they want once the divorce is over, and what opportunities are then available to them. And that's what makes us different, and that's why our outcome is just so amazing.
If people want to find out more about what you do, Tanya, and connect with you, how can they find this information?
So, yes, they can follow me on Facebook. So I'm actually Tanya Somerton Divorce Angel on Facebook, or they can go to my website, which is, as I said, www.tanyasomerton.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn and Instagram. But, I'd love to be able to provide some help or information for anyone that just wants some guidance. So, Barbara, I'd also love to offer your audience some support. I have on my website a book that I put together, and it was 46 Mindset Secrets to Turning Your Life Around and Becoming Wealthy. So if your audience would like to go to my website, which is www.tanyasomerton.com/shop, that 46 Mindset Secrets to Turning Your Life Around and Becoming Wealthy is there. If you'd like to click on that, and when you go to put it into your shop, you can put in podcast and they can get it for free. And hopefully that will give them some ideas on how, if they're going through divorce, they could look at the financial aspects of that, which is so, so important to your future.
Tanya, I'm going to put your details of your website and the Facebook details on the summary of this podcast so people can actually look that up and go straight to your website. Thank you for coming on to Breakup Recovery Podcast and sharing your insights and your ideas, and also for your fantastic offer, your free offer that people can go to your website and go into the store, download that free offer of the 46 Mindsets. And so when they go into the checkout, they just have to type the word podcast in. It'll automatically come for free. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. It's my free gift to them.
Thank you very much for that free gift. And I'm sure my listeners will take that free gift on board and download that.
No, thank you, Barbara. I really, really appreciate all your help and support. And as I said, I think you're doing an amazing job as well, just getting this podcast out and helping people with this alone is, once again, just an amazing thing to do to help people. So thank you.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode number 101, How to Get Through the Divorce Process with an Army of Angels with Tanya Somerton. I'm inspired by ladies such as Tanya as she went through her own divorce and realised that there was such a need for her service, a one-stop divorce shop, for her clients to get all the necessary professional help so that their own divorce experience is one that is holistically based and one that the client's needs come first, with an emphasis on the future needs post-divorce. I have put all Tanya's contact details in the summary, so be sure to look for that if you would like to find out more about what Tanya offers. Also, be sure to take Tanya up on her free ebook, using the word podcast in the coupon code. When I recorded this interview with Tanya, she delivered so much content, I decided to split it into 2 episodes. The first one was, of course, this episode 101, and next week's episode, number 102, Divorce Does Not Have to Mean Your Life is Over, with Tanya Somerton. In this episode, we explore the benefits of working with a life coach, a stylist, about gaining clarity, some of the stigmas surrounding divorce, her book The Jelly Bean Jar, working with both women and men, and much more. I hope you took something away from this episode of Breakup Recovery Podcast, and if you think the information shared in this podcast could help someone you know, I hope you will share it with them, or tell them about the podcast so they too can get some ideas, strategies, and tips to help them through their own breakup. I'm a breakup recovery mentor, and if you are still struggling to get back on track after your breakup, and you would like to work with me one-on-one, please reach out via my website or message me on Facebook and take advantage of my free 30-minute sounding board session, and we will have a chat and see if I can help you. And the last thing I'd like to say is, be gentle on yourself. You deserve happiness.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.